Well, hello everybody. Hope I'm in camera shot here. Sitting with the new Transalp. I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but people that might have seen what it looked like when I bought it stock will notice I do have some things, and I'll get more in detail on a future video. I'll probably do it right after this one actually, such as the windscreen, hand guards, some luggage stuff. But what I'm here to talk to you, I'm trying to catch you up on our travels. So today is, what are we at? I think we're Wednesday, August 28th. Yeah, Wednesday, August 28th. So let me backtrack a little bit. I'm here in Auburn, Washington. The ride for the most part regarding Canada and Alaska is definitely over. I still have a portion to do heading south to California after a few days here. So going back to, let me go back to August 23rd. August 23rd, we went from Jade City, which I got my fish hook necklace. I'm gonna do a separate video on Jade City also. There's a lot to talk about Jade City. Unfortunately, due to weather and timing, I didn't get a lot of video there, but there's a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to me finding my Polynesian fish hook in Jade at Jade City. But travel-wise, we left Jade City on August 23rd, which was a Friday. Jade City to Hazelton was about a 7-hour drive, and we covered 400 miles. One significant thing when we got to Hazelton, one cool thing that had happened, we got in there and we're kind of tired, but it wasn't the worst, and there was a small place to eat, I don't know, half a block down the road. So we kind of dropped our gear and we run on over there. I apologize for these dogs. These dogs just keep barking. Oh my goodness, these dogs bark 24/7. I'm sure you can hear them. So at Hazelton, New Hazelton, we went down to this little eatery place, and unfortunately at that moment they had closed about a half hour prior to, actually I think I'm getting an Amazon delivery as I speak. I got my, the crash bars and skid pad were put in the garage, and I think this is an Amazon delivery, so let me pause it real quick because I have something's coming from Amazon. Okay, hold on real quick. Yeah, sure enough, it was three packages for me. I had a box probably about, looked like Christmas around here with all the stuff I was having sent once I bought this motorcycle. But yeah, it got 3 packages from Amazon. I'll get into those later. Funny. So we got to this place to eat, and they had closed about 20 minutes prior. But one thing about, especially in Canada, whether it be had to do with the motorcycles or service oriented, they're always looking out for their travelers. So we were able to, we went in there and they had just closed for service, but I think they were from China, and they were able to get us in, and they fed us, and it was the best barbecue chicken sandwich I had ever had. I did a 1-minute short on their restaurant, and I just forgot the name of it. But if you look back in my history, look for the 1-minute short, you'll see the restaurant there in Hazelton. So after Hazelton, hold on real quick. So as you guys know, I point shoots, and my father-in-law was starting up his lawnmower. I got the dogs barking, got lawnmowers going, but I just maybe I'll find this shaded area and finish here. I just kind of wanted to have the Transalp in the background. So brand new, what I'm holding is a brand new tripod stand I got from Amazon, which is cool in itself. So Hazelton, we ate there, got up the next day, and the next day we had a short day, and the whole premise or the whole itinerary was to get back down here on the 26th. Arriving back here in Auburn on the 26th, we're gonna spend the night. I was gonna be here for about a week, but Greg was gonna get up the morning of the 27th, ride halfway down, finish the ride on the 28th, be back to work on the 29th. But once we left Hazelton, we only had a 5-hour drive to Prince George, about 5 hours and 270 miles. And we got there right before we left. Greg was still on a knobby that was just being, not pitted, I forgot the term, cupped. The knobbies were being cupped, and it was making for a very uncomfortable, stable ride for that front wheel. And he had his 70/30 tire with him that he was carrying around. All he needed to do was find a place to mount it. So at first he wanted to go past Prince George, but when I looked up the hotels and logistics, it wasn't worth our effort to just ride 2 more hours for another 7-hour day and get into a part of Canada that was unfamiliar. And I said, hey, Prince George, that's probably the biggest city for motorcycles. After that would be Seattle. No joke. I mean, after you go south from Prince George, there's all these small towns, and then you're going over the border. Maybe Everett or Bellingham might have a motorcycle shop. So it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and we were leaving New Hazelton, and I called a place that was only 4 minutes from our hotel. That I bought this hat from them, this climb hat. And when I got there, I caught them on the phone, and they said, yeah, if you get here by 2 o'clock, we'll be able to mount it, just take the wheel off. So we booked on over, we got there right at 2, and they said, solid, yeah, you know, take the wheel off, and they let us do it in one of their bays, which was totally cool. Now, we just left that stormy, wet weather environment from the Yukon, and now it's weather like this, and we're peeling off our clothes. It was warm, and the service lady said, just go into one of our bays, get out of the sun, and you can take your wheel off and bring it to us, and we'll swap out the tire. And we did, and it worked out great. It worked out great. We're at Prince George, I mean, boom, boom. We're working in a service bay. It was awesome on their property. And then we got to the hotel. There was a period of rain that we got hit by when we were going to the hotel, which made me mad because I just got dried out. But we get to the hotel, and the hotel had a really cool Mexican restaurant adjacent to it. So when we get there, we get to the hotel. I can't believe all the sounds. The dogs are barking, and then the owner will scream like every 45 minutes, shut up, shut up. That doesn't help. Anyways, we went to go eat, but by the time we got to the hotel, we made it to Prince George, 2 o'clock, had the wheel changed, got checked in, walking over it's only 4 in the afternoon. I was like, wow, we got all this done in record time. So we had a good night's sleep, and then the next morning we were gonna go from another 7-hour ride from Prince George to Hope, which is right north of the American border, the American-Canadian border, the United States. America is North America, which would include Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So the border of the United States and Canada is a town called Hope on the Canadian side. And it was a 7-hour day. We were usually leaving around 9 a.m. That was our travel start time. We left right at 8:30, and we were making record time. We had 2 scheduled gas stops before we got to our hotel in Hope. Now, I had already paid for the hotel in Hope. It was non-refundable. We got to our second gas stop. I don't know if it was our first or our second. And I said, look, we're making such good time. How do you feel of today, the 25th, that we just get over the border, we get to Auburn tonight? And if we keep going, we can get there before the sun goes down. We get there by 8 p.m. And Greg gives me a thumbs up, and we just start cruising. Not really speeding, we're just making time. No issues crossing back into the border. For some reason, at that border, at the Canadian border, and the United States coming in from Washington State and going into Washington State, the Canadian customs guy had me take my helmet off. And then the American guy had me take my helmet off when I was going the other direction. But when we were going from Canada to Alaska, I didn't have to take my helmet off. Greg didn't have to take his helmet off at any of those situations. So we do that. So on the 25th, we go from Prince George, and we book on down, and we come here to where I'm at now, at the house here in Auburn, and at my in-laws' house. But on the way down, Greg said, hey, I thought we were just gonna relax on the 26th, because now we're a day ahead of schedule. But Greg said, no, on the 26th, I'm gonna get up early in the morning and get all the way down to Riverside. So those that are watching that aren't familiar with all the little smaller towns in Southern California, it's Los Angeles vicinity, but it's actually in the county of Riverside, and there's a city within that county called Riverside. He's actually in, called Paris, P-E-R-R-I-S, which I just say Riverside. So he wakes up at 4:20 in the morning on the morning of the 26th. He's on the Africa Twin. He downloaded some gear here, left some stuff here, and on the morning of the 26th, he travels approximately 20 hours, 1,170 miles, and goes from Auburn, Washington, down to Paris, California, or for a vicinity-wise Los Angeles area, if you don't familiar with Southern California. So he had done that. And then I stayed here. I slept off and on and started putting stuff together on my, almost said KLR, started putting stuff together on the Transalp. And just like I said, as we speak, the last few items came in, and after this video, I'm going to do some of the, throw some of the other stuff on. And like I said, just right now, the crash bars, the top crash bars, bottom crash bars, and skid plate came in. They're there, so I got to bolt those on. And then there's some stuff I'm doing for the tail, for the tail luggage area. Real quick, Highway 37, what we saw, and I wish I would have taken video, on Highway 37, which is also known as the Stewart-Cassiar Highway, it goes from Junction 37, which is still in the Yukon Territory, only like maybe not even a mile above it, and it's on the Alcan or the Alaska Highway, where the Alaska Highway intersects with the Cassiar is right there. You come down, so that whole stretch of 37 from north to south is known as the Cassier Stewart. When we were on that, we saw, and I wanted to do a video, but we saw 3 abandoned vehicles, and they were all the same. They were pickup trucks, and as you're going on your direction of travel southbound, they were in the gully off to our right, heading opposite direction, as if they came around and they swerved. But I mean, these gullies are about 6 to 8 feet deep, and they were all bashed up. And you know, you're looking at them. We just were talking on the headset. We passed 3 of them in the same situation, which was weird. They were all facing the opposite direction of travel. So I'm thinking either they fell asleep, maybe they had some drinks, they may have some alcohol on them. Maybe it was at night and it was on a curve, they couldn't see the curve, or possibly an animal interdiction involvement. We don't know. But what I do know is that those vehicles were there. They look like they've been there forever. And it was to prove, not to prove my point, but to point is that you have a wreck out there. There's always a good Samaritan that will take you and bring you back to a populated area, but no one's coming for those cars anytime soon. No one. And it was just very surreal to go through this beautiful nature area. The Cassier is beautiful. It's all provincial parks and lakes and rivers. But to sit there and say, watch these things and wow, you know, that's how desolate, that's how serious these places are. And I would love to have done a video, because I would have shown you the vehicle and panned to the left and right, north and south, and said, we haven't even seen another car here. People just, this is not a heavily traveled road. You know, beware, be aware of your driving. Don't do it at night. If you do it at night, there's a lot of blind spots. You could hit an animal. You don't even enjoy the nature. But I wanted to point that out. Also, if you guys have seen the previous video I did when I'm in the parking lot and I'm talking about the decision-making process to relinquish the KLR and buy a new motorcycle, and that philosophical mindset behind all that, and what could have happened, I'm going to put a link. I know I'm terrible at doing this, but I'm going to put a link on it. If I don't for some reason, you guys got to look up Wyane's World Tour, Wyane's World Tour, and under that he has a video called Disaster on the Dalton Final Chapter. I think he has Disaster on the Dalton 1, Disaster on the Dalton 2 in Roman numerals, and then the final one is Disaster on the Dalton Final Chapter. And in that final chapter, and he was there, he just posted this video 4 days ago, and he and I have connected via YouTube, and I'm trying to nail down, I said, hey, I was just there last week. There's a very, very good chance, as he's discussing the weather patterns, that he was on the Dalton either a day before, the day of, or the day after Greg and I were there. So, but his story is much more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say tragic, he's okay. But the bottom line is he's on a much more expensive bike. He says the word Triumph, but it looks like it's a BMW. But basically, I'm thinking his bike is $20,000, $30,000, which he tells you after a $5,500 tow to get out of the Dalton, after dumping that money, which you'll never see again, he had some maintenance guys look at it in Fairbanks. They couldn't figure it out. They threw it in the back of a U-Haul, went down to Anchorage. Those guys figured out it was a wiring issue, and after all the labor and maintenance for that, the bike ended up dying. So he lives in Canada, he's Canadian, and he's across, I forgot the name of the island, but it's across from Orcas Island in the San Juan's vicinity. So he's the southern part, closer to Washington State. But he ended up spending all that money and then ended up leaving the bike in Anchorage. The bike isn't roadworthy. So I encourage you guys to watch that video, because everything I was saying in my previous video philosophically on what might have happened had I not relinquished the KLR, thank goodness my KLR broke down across the street from a motorcycle shop where he incurred all kinds of drama between the fee of the tow truck, and he called AAA, and AAA called him back and said, we're not coming for you. And then he has the GPS device, the InReach like I have, and he called the SOS on that. They did coordinate a tow truck, but that cost $5,500 to get his bike out of there. And what else was I going to say? Oh, and then he initiated the call around 11 a.m. And I think this is just, he said he's 5 miles south of Coldfoot heading towards Fairbanks. So he had achieved the Dalton, not the Dalton, he had achieved Dead Horse. So he got there, and this is on the drive back, and he got back to Coldfoot. Now from Coldfoot to Fairbanks, usually that's what you do. You camp out at Coldfoot and then you overnight in Fairbanks. He was 5 miles into that, and that's when he broke down at 11 a.m. He didn't get recovered till like around midnight. And after midnight, it was another 8 hours to get from that location all the way back to Fairbanks. 8 hours. Because you're traveling, I don't know, We're traveling 8 miles an hour. I don't know, guys. But you should watch that video. Everything that could have happened to me happened to him. The only thing in similarity, which we're both grateful for, is that we never ended up in the hospital. And he mentions that too. I'm home and I'm safe. Don't have any injuries. Where I bought that KLR for $1,500. I did build it up. I threw some money on it, and then they gave me $500 for it to leave it there. And but I think if mine would have broken down, they said, "Oh, it's $5,500 to tow you out," I would have pushed it off a cliff. And they do that. You'll hear these stories where truckers will see these abandoned motorcycles off to the side of the road. What happens after that, I don't know, but it does happen. It does happen. So with that, let me see if I got all my notes down I was going to tell you about. I just wanted to catch you guys up on where I'm at now. Greg is home. I think he starts work on Friday. He might have another day off. I'm not sure. I will say this. When I get back, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Jade City and my charm in a bit. But if you're going to do the 37, Highway 37, you need to fuel up at Junction 37 if you're coming from the north side. The next fuel opportunity is Dease Lake, which I actually have their sticker on the motorcycle now. It's a cool little compass looking thing. So, and Jade City is smack dab in the middle. So there's no gas in between. So make sure you either fill up at Dease Lake and they're about, I'm going to give you miles, not kilometers. So from each of those fuel points to Jade City is about 70. So it's about 140 miles, roughly 140, 150 miles between fuel points. Maybe not that big of a deal if you're in a car with some extra fuel thing, but if you're in a motorcycle, that's something to take into consideration. It's very desolate out there. So I think I covered everything from what I had missed. It's just that we had been on the road. We had some terrible weather. I got some helmet cam footage I'll probably throw up there eventually, hopefully sometime tonight. And then I'm going to conclude this, send this out, and I'm going to probably bolt on the rest of that stuff. So 2 more videos to follow at leisurely pace would be what I bolt on, going back over what I've done to the bike since I bought it. And then I want to talk specifically about Jade City and my experience there, which is going to be a cool story. So thanks for following along. Sorry if somebody said, "Hey, did you ever make it out of Canada? Did you ever make it out of Alaska?" Well, by the time we boogied on down, I just caught up on my sleep, got myself a good shave, and working. But I have not rode my bike since we came in on the 25th. It's like, no, I know it's new, but no, I'm giving my behind a rest. All right, take care, like, subscribe. If riding's your passion, get out there and ride. And more so than now, I sincerely mean, if there's something that you've always wanted to do and you always said you'll wait till tomorrow. If you didn't do it yesterday, don't wait till tomorrow. Whatever it is, either start planning it or getting it or starting it today as soon as you watch this video. Take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for your support. And I'm alive. I'm okay. A little less money in the bank account, but what the heck. Bye.